Dad.
Welcome, Rotarians online and in person. Today we have a special guest, and an introduction would be difficult, but I would tell you, having read his bio, thinking about my volunteering 2 Saturdays a year to pick up trash to demonstrate service above self, pretty much pales in comparison to what he does. So I don't want to steal his thunder or spoil any of his story. So at this point, I'll just turn it over to you.
Well, that's the quickest meeting. The last meeting I was in Westerville, there were 70 people there, have 120 people in their membership list, but there were 60 there. And they said I'd have the podium about 7:30 in the morning. And it was 8 o'clock and I was still not there because there was so much going on. So I told the sergeant at arms, please lock the door now, because now you'll say the meeting's pretty much done and I won't have anything to say. So you took my time. So now you stay there and guard the place. But this is great. Thank you so much for having me over here. And for your hospitality of putting me up in that room, which was way above my pay grade. Yeah, I'm kind of not used to sleeping in a good bed. Yeah, after a while you get used to not having it, but you know, you toss and turn. But it was nice to have it. Thank you very much, all of you. Can you guys hear me up there? All right, cool.
Loud and clear.
So today's day 3 of my 270-day journey on the road for this leg. I've been on the road never this long. Usually about 3 or 4 months a year for the last 7 years, but this time it's about a little over a year now, if I make it to the end. The end is the Melbourne Convention. The start, well, official start was in June of this year in the Houston Convention, but I actually started in February in India. And the goal is to reach 100 clubs. Now, why? I'm just a dreamer. And that dream was inspired by someone who was in the Potomac Rotary Club. God bless him, he's about 90 now, who dreamt that they want to eradicate polio from this world. And I don't know what he had to go through to make it happen and get the entire world of Rotary involved in this. But I'm dreaming a similar dream, that I want to make sure that no one dies waiting for an organ. And I began this journey, I wouldn't say alone, but in my context, it was alone. I still am. And to reach 1 million donors was the target to start with. The rate at which I'm going at now, I'm going to be about 80 years old. And as we all know, old age is the privilege of the few. And I don't know if I'll make it that far, but how do I get to that number sooner while I'm still alive and kicking? And I thought about Rotary. I've been in the Rotary ecosystem since I was, well, 14. And at 16, I was a youth exchange student. And ever since, I've been involved in Rotary. And I'm thinking, why didn't I think of this before? Why can't I energize Rotary to become that army that this other gentleman had? And now that army, there's a saying in our language that loosely translates to, well, the empty mind is the devil's workshop. Now, once polio is done, what are we going to do? I got to keep the Rotarians busy, right? So how about working on organ donation? You don't need funds, so you don't have to keep doing fundraisers for it. You don't need knowledge. You don't need looking for a cure, as other diseases are still looking. And you don't need to look beyond your community. So that's how easy it is, but yet no one does it. If I had gone out touting that we need to make sure that no one goes hungry ever and that they're all fed for all the time, I may have got some purchase on that because it's easy to fathom. Yes, here's my dollars, here's how many people are being fed. And that's how most of these TV ads showing hungry children entice you to send them money because they get it. Or organ donation, you can. There's no tangible, there's nothing that is there's no cost, action reaction. Here's the money, here's the food, here's a happy face. It's not that immediate. It takes a while. And when it's taking a while, you're less motivated. But the good news for this cause is actually the bad news for all of us. It's that it's coming closer to home. It's going to start affecting the people we actually know, people who we live with, and people who we love. And that's the problem. In some parts of the world, kidney disease is the #2 killer, surpassing tuberculosis. That's how rampant it's getting. And the US is getting hotter and hotter in that temperature graph. India has made it a thing already. But US outside of India is the next biggest community that kidney disease is affecting everyone. There's two ways to deal with kidney disease. Either you live on dialysis, that machine, or you get someone to show love. Because organ donation is a direct act of love. You can't force someone to do it. And that's where we all come in. And that's what I'm saying is so easy to do. But how do you do it? How does the Riverbend Rotary do it? It's so overwhelming. You keep saying that you're a small group. It doesn't matter. If that group is fully engaged, you're much better off than a large group that isn't. So don't ever put yourselves down as calling yourselves a small group and only doing small things because you can't achieve the big stuff. Of course you can. If I've been able to directly, the ones that I am aware of, the ones I'm not aware of, maybe a lot more, but the ones I'm aware of is definitely more than 30 lives that I've directly affected and saved. You can do it. And you can do it in Alton, Riverbend, whatever your 40 miles is. What can you do as a project? Now, I don't know what projects you do now. That's okay, you can keep doing it. If you feel that your cup is filled over, then think of organ donation as the sugar that sweetens that cup and not makes it overflow. Because it doesn't take your resources financially, it does take your resources time-wise. But you also have the good fortune of meeting in a place like this. And as Emily pointed out, like right now, that you touched 30,000 people every year. That's 30,000 people who could become potential organ donors. If they knew what it means, if they knew how, and what good it'll do. The reason most people don't come forward is they don't know enough about it. And whatever you don't know enough about, you're afraid of. And that's what fear is caused by, an unanswered question. So the more information you give, the better the decisions. And that holds for anything you do in life, definitely for organ donation. That could be your project. Can you have those 30,000 people, or at least let's take 50% of them, or 70, or 90, or 100% of them say yes to becoming organ donors? It's right here in your backyard. And you don't have to look beyond that. Organ donation can be done in 3 different ways: the awareness part of it, advocacy, and philanthropy. Fortunately, philanthropy may not be of much use here because you've got your systems like insurance. And I keep saying your, it's because I don't live in this country, but it's still mine. I'm American, just like you. In India, we don't have that. We are dependent on money. Organ donation is still the privilege of the rich. unlike here. So philanthropy may not be, you could be philanthropic outside of this place and maybe save lives outside of America, which is not a bad thing because you do, your international service could be that. But in America, advocacy and awareness, these are the two things that you could do. I mean, just in this group, how many of you have decided to become organ donors? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. I mean, there's no good or bad about it. That's your journey. You've taken that journey sooner. But there are others who take their time to make that journey and say yes, if at all. And they need help to understand why. The reasons people don't come forward to donate are, I don't love humanity enough or more than myself. I don't know enough about it. My religion prohibits it. I'm afraid that people won't resurrect me to life and let me die to take my organs. And that's the biggest fear amongst the African American community in this country, statistically. Not unfounded fears, but those are old fears that have taken different roots. In today's world, it's less likely. Yes, you do have your bad apples. It happens everywhere. You have a small percentage of thieves in amongst us, in every space. In any good that we do, you have the thieves who try and take advantage of it. So are we going to look at that 10% or less, or are we going to look at the 90%? The 90% is where we need to look at, because love and optimism and kindness happens there. Fear and everything negative happens in that 10%. So where's your mind at? Let's look at the 90%. With the awareness, you can change these reasons for them to say no. What awareness can we do? What can you do? Keep saying small group. Well, smaller the group, the better managed it is. Together you are more than someone else who's a larger group. You could have someone like me or someone who knows enough to speak to the seniors here. Not one time, but maybe once every quarter. Because once every quarter, when you do it, the more you think about things, how does music become hits? Because you hear it often enough. Repetition. Yes. Only then will it internalize. Then, even with food, you taste something one time, you don't, but you acquire the taste. This is no different. Human behavior with everything is the same. It's just that how you adapt it. So do that awareness session once every quarter, if not once every month. Because the organ donation that can happen, if you know enough about it, is you can do it as you're alive, as I did, or you can do it when you're brain dead, as a lot of accident victims are, unfortunately young ones, or you can do it when you're dead, cardiac death, the normal, natural death, which most of us will experience, I hope. What can you donate when you are brain dead, living, or cardiac? Knowing all of these things will make you more committed to this cause, thinking, hey, that's cool, that's easy. I didn't know that. I'll do this. This sounds good. That's what awareness does. The more you know, the more empowered you are. So what does a cardiac death body do for someone else? There's over 50 tissues that you can give. Each of these tissues enhances the lives of people who are otherwise compromised and cannot live a full life. Like what? Quite simply, your corneas. You could be 150 and still give your corneas as long as they're healthy. So when you say that, oh, I'm too old for this, no, you're never too old. Let science figure out what you're too old for. Our job is to give, right? Let's just give. There are other people who'll figure it out. But if you start making excuses with your own limited knowledge about what you want to and cannot do, and that's a shame. You're denying yourself the opportunity to be humane, If heaven is where you need to go to give yourself that chance, because when you give life, apparently that's where the line starts into that next world, if we believe it. So you could give your heart valves, your small intestines, your skin, your two corneas can give sight to 4 people. I mean, when you have equations like that, why would we deny someone the same ability that you have when you were alive to see this beautiful planet? It is pretty. And if heaven is where you want to go and decide that your life in this world is dedicated to your journey to that space that we don't know about, but we believe, can you imagine, since that's the theme of Rotary this year, that our imagination run wild, can you imagine that if we end up in that gate that we think exists, and the person at that gate speaks to you and says, hey, welcome. I hope you lived a good life. How was heaven? Maybe this is that heaven. It's what we make of it. And I'm preaching to the choir when I tell the Rotarians this, because we are ordinary people doing extraordinary things, serving to change lives, right? We already know that if we do what we continue to do, this will become heaven at some point. So after death is a no-brainer, but if the older folks that live here are closer to that, if we live the life cycle that WHO says we live, then the closer you are to that, the more ready you are to give. And hopefully your journey in life, by the time you're that age, is more giving, wanting to undo the bad things you've done, evolved. You'll notice how many of them will say yes. They just don't know about it. That heart valve that you give is used for children who have a heart disease, and usually a mechanical valve is put in. And as they grow older, that mechanical valve has to keep getting replaced. But with the heart valve coming from a human, it grows with the baby. And they never have to get that done again, risking that life every time they go under. The bone fillings that you may have had at the dentist's office came from someone who gave bone. It's real bone, you know, human bone. And if you're thinking that if I hold on to one of my kidneys because I have 2, if you can, that's what you can do when you're alive, give a kidney or a liver. When you're brain dead, where your ventilator is keeping you alive while your brain is dead, you could give pretty much everything. I mean, every part of your body. Did you know today they can even transplant limbs from one body to another and actually make it work? And India has done about 5 of them so far and working. So there's no limit to how you can recycle your life. If you think if you think that concept of resurrection is prevalent, well, this is how you resurrect yourself. I mean, God's busy. He's given you a free will and intent. Use it and resurrect yourself. When you die, your soul leaves, they say, regardless of which religion you follow. Everyone's got a version of it. And that soul is nothing but energy. If you look at physicians, they'll tell you it's energy that exists in even an inanimate table like this. And that energy is passed on through your organs to other bodies, because you cannot destroy that energy. If your soul is going somewhere, it's just transferring to some part of this universe. It's going somewhere. It's not getting destroyed, because science has proved that energy is only transferred, cannot destroy. So wherever it is that your soul is going, you have a chance to direct it. If it's going to end up in a final journey that none of us know about, because science hasn't got that far yet, except if you dig deep into spirituality. Spirituality has most of those answers, but science only proves it with data. So the realm of science and spirituality, there's an overlap, but there is a distinct separation. I don't know where that soul is eventually going to end up, but if it goes through another body that does some good in life, hey, why not? So awareness needs to be given from a perspective of how the person evolved. So if I'm talking to a young boy or a girl, I wouldn't say all these things. Because knock on wood, they have their entire life still ahead of them. But when guys like us or other side of 50, well, we're closer. And I want to hear it the way I want to hear it, based on my life experiences, where I've evolved, what I've done in life, what I want to undo. And that's probably why Rotarians are much older. Not because we're not attracting the young people. It's because older people don't have to be convinced to do service. Of course, there are the exceptions, but by and large, that's who you see that, hey, I want to give back. That's the thing, right? That's why we all came. I want to give back. I want to meet people in the community. I want to get to know people and do something together. That's what this was about. Organ donation is quite similar. Now you've signed up on your driver's license, right? Right. What happens after that? Do you know? Is it automatic? No, you don't.
You better let somebody in your family know.
That's one way.
And
And if they say no, what are you going to do?
they say that you need to have it in your paperwork in your will. It's not the will, it's the
Trust.
no, it's the
DNR?
Healthcare power.
the healthcare power of
Oh,
attorney.
there we
I
go.
used to type those and they just went.
Okay. Well, I was hoping that you would say this because there's no other answer to this, but they're not entirely correct. Because your will is not going to be read till much later. So that's too late because you need to be taken out your organs within 24 hours of your death. And the will is not going to be read then. By then you're already, interred or cremated or whatever. Actually, the driver's license is the best form of capturing intent. They got that part right. But what the system didn't get right, which Rotary can change, in Alton, in Riverbend, nowhere else. You don't need to go anywhere else. Let's do this community-wise. I don't know how good you're with your mayors or your EMS. And they have the power to do this. Get the EMS to install a protocol that just says, no matter where they go, car crash, home, ask for the driver's license. That's not normal. Because your driver's license is not it's not looked at unless you're in a car crash or anything to do with the road. So if they put this in their process, right now about 15% of the people who actually sign up make it to becoming organ donors. Because most of them either haven't told their family or they don't die in a car crash. So anywhere else, no one's asked for it. So if they put this in place and make it standard operating procedure, that 15% is going to rise dramatically and we'll get closer to that goal of no one dies waiting for an organ. So that's a small thing you can do here in Alton. I keep saying Alton, but Riverbend. How many funeral homes do you have around here?
Lots.
Well, clearly there's a lot of people dying here.
We have a lot of them.
Supply and demand, right? So if you get your funeral homes here to be the last bastion, just in case someone forgets to tell the family, just in case EMS forgets to ask for the driver's license, just in case the hospitals don't ask for the driver's license, the funeral homes can ask for it. Because the funeral homes are directly connected to the OPOs, the organ procurement organizations. And if they find out there that this person was an organ donor, before they get embalmed or whatever else, they can make the call at the nth minute. Just one protocol in place, and that can make the difference.
Do they not ask that question when you're setting up the service?
I don't know that. It's not consistent. That's what I'm trying to say. But if it is, great. If it isn't, make it happen. I'm just giving you the various ways in which you can involve yourself in this mission. which actually saves lives. And there's another saying in our country that, in the country I live in, it's also my country, so I have dual citizen, is do good and let it flow downstream. Which means when you do good and it flows downstream, it may not come back to you. You don't know what good you did. You have hope that someone downstream will benefit from that thing. And organ donation is like that. I mean, I told you I only know 30 people that I've directly affected because I'm constantly involved. I've counseled them, and therefore their organ donation has come through, and I've raised funds for someone who finally had 1 month to live, but now lives and is studying to be a lawyer, a young girl, through my drives. But I may not know of many that I did help, and I don't care.
You did it.
I just know I'm doing what I'm doing. And I'm playing the numbers game. If 1 million people, the 10% convert, or 5% convert, that's still 50,000 people. With just one person's effort, imagine all of us together. This world certainly will be a better place. So my journey of uniting Rotary for organ donation has this, and that's why I'm here. And that's why, I don't know why you called me, but I hope you're happy you did. And hopefully it gives you something to think about here. You don't have to let me know what you did. If you did it, you know what you did, and you did. And challenge your fellow Rotary clubs in your district. Maybe as a district, you can do this, each community doing it for themselves, and apex into the district. Talk about it in your district conference, or get someone to. As I'm going to one, because the district governor happens to be a kidney donor. But you don't have to go through something to be able to feel for it. That's empathy. You don't want to have it happen to you before you get awake to it. So be woke now so that it doesn't touch the people you actually know, because when it hits home, you know it's real. Otherwise, it's just something that happens. And I waited long enough for it to become real for me. When my brother came knocking, asking for a kidney. And he's a doctor himself, a Rotarian. So anyway, that's the long and short of it. I'd love to answer any questions. And if not.
How was that experience for you when your brother came knocking?
Well, saying yes to him was easy. Because love exists. Now, love is not just an existential emotion. It's tested. And I was tested. And how? A lot of people give up in that test, and everyone goes through that test. Generally, there are exceptions, but I had to go through that test to prove to myself that I really loved him. What was I willing to do? How much was I willing to fight? And I had to fight my wife. I had to fight the law. I had to fight myself. There was no way that I was never not going to give it to him, but the journey to that point was not easy. Because the law in India gave my wife the right to say yes or no.
Oh.
That doesn't happen here. But since I live there, the law of the land. So we came up to a point where I had to ask her if she would give me a divorce. Because that's the only reason she has the right? So if she's not my wife, she's off the hook. She doesn't
Why
have to
would
worry
you have
about it.
to divorce if she would just say yes?
She didn't say yes.
But would she give you
Fear.
the divorce?
No.
Or is that not an optional thing? If you want one in India, you just.
No, you can. Oh, no. Look, you taught
I
us
was gonna
well.
say, what would be different? between-
America taught the world well about divorce. It's now prevalent everywhere, and it's also okay. No big deal. It used to be a taboo, but not anymore.
Why wouldn't she want you to?
Fear. The same reason, because an unanswered question creates fear. And the moment she got more information about it, through my kids, not me, I was not able to convince her. And they appealed to her in a way that changed her mind. And it was nothing the way I did it. So that's what I'm saying. So everyone has a different reason for their blocks. So the stent is common, but what that stent is made of in information is what makes the difference between someone saying yes or no. So all my daughter had to ask her mother is, Mom, if my brother needs it, will you come in the way?
Yeah, that's a straight.
Wow.
It's a good question, easy question, right? I never thought of it. I'm like, you've got to let me, I love my brother, it's my body, it's my this, everything, it didn't work.
What would your wife do if one of her kids came to her?
That's what she was asked. And that's what made her realize, like, hell, yeah. That's where my mother was. And that was it. Turned around, yes, signed, sealed and delivered. Then the law asked me to go bring a no objection certificate from the US consulate. Because I'm an American, right? Like, America doesn't care who I give it to. It's not in their law. So now you're going to make me go to a consulate and ask me to get a letter that they don't normally give, and they'll give me the run around saying no. So I threatened a lawsuit there, and then the hospital then finally said, okay, let's keep it quiet, let's do this. I mean, I'm the brother, right? I'm the DNA, you've done the DNA test, everything's proven, now why do you need that? My wife has said yes.
Waiting for a kidney.
And all this time he's waiting for, in fact, I just working on a case where a minor appealed to the Supreme Court to be allowed to give his liver to save his father. And by the time that decisions happened, that father died today and couldn't get it, and the son was willing to give it. And he was just 17, minor. I mean, that's advocacy. You don't have to worry about that. I'm working hard. I'm filing a class action suit in the Supreme Court on a lot of these things with others, other Rotarians. So yeah, so I founded this club called the Rotary Club of Organ Donation, of which I'm the president, charter president of this year. We're only working on organ donation. We're a cause-based club. And I'm happy to work as a club with you guys to continue your journey if you want that journey to happen here. If you have any questions, doubts, a think tank to just bounce off of, happy to partner with you. Check it off in your international service, but do the service locally.
So the test for that is like a blood test and.
Now, today, you don't even have to be the same blood group.
Yeah.
8 years ago, you needed to, but science has taken the leap. And one of our Rotarians is a nephrologist, and he's done over 60 against blood group donations. Because when someone's gasping for life, and time is not what you have, you gotta take the risks and chances. Now, another doctor in India has started to take kidneys or livers from diabetics and is able to manage the donor pretty well. Here, they won't even hear of it because they're too worried about lawsuits, this and that. But when someone's dying and someone wants to give, it's more a humanitarian thing. It's a social issue, it's not a medical issue. And there are some court cases that I fought through my organization, which is the Gift of Life Adventure Foundation. It's 501c3 here and in India. We fought it based on the fundamental right of the right to live. I don't care what your moral background is, but my right to live trumps that. And if there are two willing adults willing to help each other, I don't see why the law should come in on moral grounds. Because morality keeps changing, and marijuana was no good then, now it's good, right? So I'm not going to wait around for that to happen. And so when we prevailed, we won those cases. So there's case law that I'm able to now, hang my hat on. And I did that in 2017 and 18, a couple of people. And now friends can give friends in India who can prove friendship, of course, because otherwise new friends pop up. That's where the illegal trade begins. But in this country, there's no problem because anyone can give anyone, no problem.
How many states actually have the donor program through the driver's license? Do you know?
Every state. Every state. I mean, like I said, it's the easiest way to capture intent.
But I agree with the awareness because like my wife is a nurse and she said, I'm not putting it on my license, but I do. She's told me that if something were to happen to her, she would want me to say yes. But she's a nurse and she's, like you said, the paranoia you know, not saying that she's seen anything that's happened,
But the reverse problem here is if she hasn't expressed an intent, you can't do it. While in India, the law is the next of kin has the right to decide. So if I pass and I've said yes, my kids say no, then it's a no. And I can't argue that because I'm dead anyway. But here, that's why you have the intentions on your document, and that document needs to be read by a third objective party, which is the EMS. Otherwise, your family can be biased and say no or hide the fact, and no one's going to know.
I have a question.
That's not true.
So go ahead.
Well, about the intent, at least here in Illinois, we have a Illinois healthcare surrogate law.
Mhm.
And if there's nothing expressed, so to start with that, then there's a decision tree about who's entitled to make, decisions for you. Okay, starting off with usually a spouse, then a guardian, going down the list on there. But if there's nothing said, then that decision maker then has the responsibility of deciding whether or not to make the donation. And
Yeah,
so there's no presumption.
you're saying the same
against-
thing I am.
Well, no, but you said that there's presumption against it, saying that it's not the case.
No, so what you're saying is there's a tree of decision making
Right.
other than you, because you're not in that space.
Right.
And if they say no, it's a no. It's not an opt-out country yet, even in Illinois. Unlike in the UK or Scandinavia or France, you are presumed an organ donor unless you opt out. Here, you're an opt-in. And if you haven't opted in, which is why you need to talk to your family. But if you've expressed your intent, and there's a direct connection with the system, any objections here wouldn't matter.
True.
How long would it take to get down the decision tree before your organs are no
Well,
longer?
they'll do that quick enough. I mean, that's not the issue. They all know, the medical community knows what it takes and how fast you need to do this. But the decision maker will also be informed of that. So the decision has to happen within the time. That's not an issue.
What arguments do people make against this?
Oh, one of five, and even less. My religion, Jehovah's Witness, is the only religion that prohibits it expressly. And every other religion, no. But the assumption of that, the beliefs, what is truth? You can refute it, but truth is negotiable. Truth is what you believe. If I convince you that this is a black table and you believed it, to you it's true. To you it's not. That's what truth is. And that's the problem in this society, that a lot of people are giving you things to believe, and that's how we're divided. But the only truth, if we're in the quest of truth, is your own feelings. You cannot deny that. You can ignore it, but you can't deny it. And they can keep changing. No one says the truth is constant. Now, the fear is that belief. If you believe that it's not good for your soul and your journey to heaven is going to be hampered by it, because someone made you believe that, someone human, based on their exposure and interpretation. It's not that their minds are not changeable. They just need an argument enough to come to that. Change their truth. There was a pastor Rotarian in Toronto where I spoke a couple of months ago. I've been on the road since June. And he says, well, I told him, Pastor, you could be doing this in your church. He said, no, I'm not sure I want to do it because I'm not convinced yet. I said, Pastor, you're being a gatekeeper. That's not good. I mean, you have your journey. I respect that. You may take another 5 years to get there, but by blocking this information from your congregation, whose journeys may be quicker, you're coming in the way. So, oh, I never looked at it like that. At least let them know. Maybe someone there has that journey quicker and they may be more convinced faster than you are. So why should your journey be their journey? So please talk to them. And he did. So it's just how they're so used to thinking in one way. And I'm not here trying to tell someone, or neither should you, it's become an organ donor, become an organ donor, put a gun, become one. That's the surest way of not becoming. Just give them enough information to make their decision. Good decisions come from good information. It's a constant struggle. That's why if you do this once a month in this facility, some get it, some don't. But maybe the next time they'll get it. Because they have somebody in their peer group talking to them from their language they understand with each other. So not pressure, but peer learning. Their minds are more open to receiving. So it's nothing but an open mind or a closed mind, receiver taker, generally in life. Religion uses that beautifully. And the biggest religion of our religion is humanity. And that's what we forgot. We've started to look at the messenger and forgot the message. Across the board.
Well, I am an organ donor, but I also have 2 grandchildren that are living with 1 kidney. One, but my younger grandson was diagnosed with cancer at 2.5, so he lost a kidney. So it made us more aware of organ donations and that. So the majority of our family are organ donors, and we all know it. My older granddaughter just in April donated a kidney to her cousin who is dying with a kidney disease.
It's right here in your family. She should be a spokesperson for your project.
I mean, and she was 19 when she donated, so she was old enough. Her mother is a nurse and was very hesitant because she said, I know you're healthy, but my granddaughter stood firm. I mean,
God bless her. And she's healthy, right?
she is. It was a 10-month process though, just to get, counseling. They all thought, well, you're young. Are you
See,
sure?
they're second guessing anyone's good intentions. They did that with
Exactly.
me too.
She said, he's my cousin. He's going to die. He has 2 children to raise. And yes.
How old is she now?
She's 20.
No, this was recent.
Yeah, just in April.
Is she fit? Is she fit?
Yes. Very much.
Could you ask her if she would be wanting to go and compete for Team USA at the World Transplant Games?
Sure.
I mean, she should, because she should show the world that life after a donation is as athletic. That's why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm driving to, by the way. She can fly, but I'm driving.
Right.
It's in April next year. You could fund her as one of your projects and then make her a hero here and have her become your platform in your local media and your local press, because the more people hear about things like this, the more internalized it gets. The conversation becomes normal. As your project right there.
That sounds pretty cool.
Volunteering.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to have
That's amazing.
worn Team USA.
We were
She
just on vacation, so yeah.
she looks fit.
She's very fit and healthy. and-
Well, she should show the world that.
Yes. So.
She's just like you.
She's 20. I'm not.
Yeah. No,
So yeah, anyway, so I'm driving to the games just to get myself a platform to be able to showcase, say, listen, I'm doing it. I'm walking the talk.
Where's the games gonna be?
Perth, Australia is a great vacation. You could go with her.
she would love that.
Wow.
Like I said, it would cost close to $3,500 to $4,000, including airfare and the registration and the living there for 10 days. But that's worth it if that's a message that she can bring back to your community here and have her become your Miss Organ Donor or Organ Donor Person of the Year as a pageant and start doing the awareness campaigns. And I'm sure she would be happy doing her high school or a college she's going to. Right, so that's a great place to do it. And that's $3,000 well spent.
Where are the games?
Perth, Australia. And Team USA.
You're driving to all-
I'm driving, well, someplace I've got to put the car on the ship. It's difficult to drive to an island.
Yeah.
Yeah. But maybe someday I'll get a boat that's marked the way my car is marked, and then I'll do a handoff at the port and then do a sail across. And I get a little more adventurous. But yeah, that's in April of next year. And they're starting to do the registration. So the early bird is happening now. So this month is the early bird, it finishes. Anyway, it's a $35 difference between the early bird and not so early bird registration fee.
So some people are worried about the cost.
Of
And saying, well,
transplant,
if they're going to donate, and
loss of work.
well, but if they're going to be in the hospital for another couple of days. Well, I
have the answer.
But I mean, but that's a
Cost.
genuine fear.
Well,
And then wondering.
did
if
you
the
know?
Insurance company, which are terrible in the US.
that the insurance company covers the patient's problem, but the loss of wages, there is a $5,000 grant by the federal government for donors to cover their loss of wages.
And I can say that my granddaughter was just a waitress at the time. So she made really good money in tips, but there is a nonprofit organization that took her W-2s and they paid her for the 2 months that she was off.
Exactly. And no, there's a federal government program that gives you, it was 3,000, now it's up to 5,000.
But apart from that, is the cost of the hospital.
No, that's
Well, you know,
insurance.
that's-
That's the patient's insurance that they take care of.
So that's something people would want to know.
Information, awareness.
And by the way, also learned there that the driver's license trumps all the other documents.
Pretty much.
Well, it was pretty absolute because I had a client who changed their mind about wanting to be a donor. And the hospital, they pulled out the driver's license. Said, we don't care about the revocation you signed otherwise. So whatever decision you make on the driver's license.
And yet nobody sees that driver's license. Not enough people see it. See, that's the beauty of it. And that's what you can change.
Unless you're going to a bar to get, and you get ID.
Correct.
And everybody's looking at it.
But that's only if you look younger.
Some places have to do it, I don't know what now, for like cigarettes.
I wonder how many recipients or donors regret doing it.
Really, my opinion, it doesn't matter. Deed is done, someone is alive. It's at that point more personal journey.
But that's the only thing, I mean, it works, you're alive and breathing.
Again,
And
that
so-
small 10%, I could have died on the table. It's a big operation, right? The risk is 1 in 3,000. That's the odds. But the odds of getting hit by a bus are 1 in 250 if you walk on the street. So, and that's what my wife was afraid of. That's what they told her. And she's naturally paranoid. She was born paranoid. So it didn't help very much. She usually travels with me and would be sitting here at any normal time, but she's in India right now. She just told me she's got her work wrapped up, so she'll meet me in San Antonio before I cross over. So I'll have company.
So do you have anything that you're leaving behind that we can reach you? You probably have a website.
No, none of those actually help you. Frankly, there's Google. You can always Google this. There's always everything there. But if you want to do if you have pointed questions, you have my email. You have my number in that email. Just call me. First of all, I'm driving, so calls are the best way to reach me.
Don't be texting and driving.
Exactly.
Talk on the phone.
It's free.
But
You may-
there is not any questions unanswered on the web. If you really ask it, you'll find it.
One person can ring through on my phone. There she is. Sorry.
Hotline. So, yeah, I hope you will discuss this amongst yourselves and try and do something. I mean, hey,
Absolutely.
you're right there.
I think a few of us probably, I mean, I'm close to it too. When I was in college, when I was 19, my dad worked at Leclerc Steel and a 6,000-pound steel lift crushed both of his legs. And we didn't ever think he'd walk again. And they put someone else's bones in his legs and pinned him in surgery. And he's still walking. He's not the best on his balance, and he worked another,
My God, I mean,
30
look,
years
Wow.
and just retired at age 73 and was still walking.
we're a
So-
small group of 25, doesn't look very small now, does
Wow.
it? You guys have this.
And I had a recent coworker that just one of my former captains on the boats.
If you could get to your mayor and have him or her proclaim organ donation week for your town and use that as a stepping stone to do things in the local radio station, the local media.
Yeah.
Highlight all of these stories, put it out there, so internalize this, make it normal. I mean, today an open heart surgery is normal, right? It never used to be. Today is normal. I'm in and out. Let's make this normal so no one's fearing it.
They're using PICC valves now too.
Oh, yeah. Until science catches up and no one needs to donate living or dead, the artificial stuff can kick in, but that's about 10, 15 years away. Until then,
Well, thank you very, very much for being here today.
Yes.
Very interesting.
Very interesting.
And
Thank you for
I think we may be recording this, so if so, we'll put this out. And all of you who are watching this recording, he said, send him an email or call him if you have
Yeah.
questions, right?
yes, absolutely.
All right.
I have
Well,
his
It's
email
record.
address. I have his email address, and I think you do too, Monica, correct?
Yeah, I do. I can get it out to everybody. I think it was in the email I sent it to everyone
Oh, okay,
about today's meeting.
okay.
We got it.
And normally I carry that gas can over there asking for whatever donations you can put in there to put my gas money through. But since you guys put me up in a hotel, I'm not gonna do that. That was not
Well,
expected.
Emily took care of all. Thank
Yeah.
her for doing
Yeah.
that. It's good. He's been, sleeps in parking lots and uses,
Yeah, I've stopped in
Great.
churches and temples. Yeah, I
Yeah.
stay in their parking lot. It's actually not so bad. You realize how little you need in life to be happy.
So Emily wanted to have a good room.
It
So
might
thank you,
make a good PR picture if we all take a selfie out by his car that's all marked up. So,
Great. Would you guys
Yeah.
do that?
Yeah, let's do that.
okay, so the next point of business is running through administration, foundation, fundraising, community service. Do you want to go through that, Monica?
I think we can skip it today. I think we're running short on time, and so everybody get back to
Okay.
work and go out and take a picture and call it a great meeting.
Karen has.
I do want to say real quickly that we sold $320 worth of the meat raffle tickets at the Alton Rotary Club Monday night.
All right.
Yay.
Great.
Thanks to Eddie Morrissey, who invited us to go for dinner, and he really was a big factor in ticket sales.
That's awesome.
That was good.
Can
Thank
I
you.
ask, do we have a flyer? Like, I want to put something on my Facebook or something like that. Do we have something? in the
Or we can share it.
Yeah, so we can.
Yeah, we'll get you that.
Okay.
I took a picture of the ticket and put it on.
I just have a couple of things, if I could, Monica,
Please.
about the Vintage Voices setup.
Okay.
Anybody here able to do that on the 8th? We
I'll
have
be,
like from 10 to 11 and then probably 3 to 4. And it's just like an hour. It's setting up chairs, just going around the cemetery, putting up their props and everything. It's not anything huge.
no, it was an easy task last time. I'll be there. I can do tables. I can't do a whole lot of lifting and throwing, but I can set up chairs.
Okay, that's good.
And where is this
And
at?
At the Alton City Cemetery, where the Lovejoy Monument is.
All right, we're up against a hard deadline. We need to go because we got people
Okay.
coming in behind us here.
Okay, we're also invited by Pride to a community roundtable. I sent you that email, Monica.
Get it out
We
there.
get that sent out. It's Thursday, October 6th from 6 until 8. And it's there, I think they're kind of promoting this love where we live. Here's what to expect: share your organization's goals and upcoming events, network with other local nonprofits, discuss struggles facing your organization, share ideas that have worked well for you and learn from others, find out how we can all work together to make our community better. And that is from Pride, and Monica will send out the RSVP if anybody's interested in going next Thursday, the 6th, from 6 until 8.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jeannie.
Yep.
I'm heading out, guys.
All right, guys, we'll see you all next week.
Thank you.
Yeah.